Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending upon where you're tuning in from around the globe. Welcome to episode number 68, it is, Bear. Holy crap. Number 68 of Leadership for the Future, Warrior Leader Sage, where we get together every single week right here simultaneously on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter to talk about the psychology and the strategies of building your business and taking both your life and business to an ultimate level of performance to powerfully lead both your life and business, because they go hand in hand. If you haven't figured this out yet, to successfully lead a business in this age of the entrepreneur, you absolutely must successfully first lead your own life. And I hope that makes sense to you. Now, as always, if you're on Facebook, please weigh in down below and tell me who you are, where you're dialing in from. I missed all of you on Instagram and Twitter and Facebook last week. I hope you had a wonderful Thanksgiving with your family and loved ones. I certainly did. And yet we're back. I told you we'd be back. So weigh in down below and tell me who you are and where you're coming in from. Say hello. This community is growing around the world every single week as we get together and we discuss these great concepts to change your life and business. Now, you may have seen a little video I put out. I think it went out on all platforms last week about so-called Black Friday. Did you see that one? If you didn't, you can probably scroll back and find it. I won't get into it here, but nonetheless, I'm not a big fan of all this drive for consumerism and all this drive for materialism, and there's nothing wrong with that by any means. But that's not why you're here. And the machine is attempting to lead you instead of you leading it, if that makes sense to you. So what I'm going to do here is allow you an opportunity to invest in yourself. And so we're going to call this Leadership Thursday. I just made that up this morning. This is Leadership Thursday. We didn't do a Black Friday. If you're on my email list, you'll know you got nothing from me for Black Friday or Cyber Monday. But let me tell you about Leadership Thursday and what that means. We have put several new dates on the calendar for 2018 for Leadership for the Future Mastermind Experience, the 5-day event that we did our beta test on in November, and it was off the chain. In fact, it was so off the hook. Hey, if any of you, by the way, who attended are here, just weigh in and let us know and tell all the rest of the crew here that they need to be there, because we put more dates on the calendar. In fact, 60% of the room who attended signed up and enrolled to be at 4 additional events throughout the balance of 2018, once per quarter. That's how off the hook it was. Yes, it was high impact. And so we put new dates on the calendar, and here's what I want to do on Leadership Thursday, which is today, is that we have a couple seats left for January 7th through 11th in Las Vegas, Nevada, if you want to get into that one. And we have additional dates, which if you click the link here on Facebook right above my head, on Twitter right above my head, on Instagram, you'll have to go to my bio. But nonetheless, there are additional dates that are listed throughout the balance of 2018 that we've decided to continue this very intimate and exclusive event. And here's what I'm going to do for you as part of my online community. For a limited time, while the seats are still available, and there's only a couple available for January, I'm going to give you 80% off the regular investment. See, Flo, did you hear Flo? She likes that. She's going, what the hell, Dad? 80% off? Are you serious? Yeah, I'm going to give you 80% off the regular investment. If this event is right for you, she did it again when I said 80%. 80%, Flo. 80%. Now, anyway, just click the link, and it's by interview only. I'm looking for the right people who are ready to level up and take the lid off 2018. If that's you, then come invest 5 days with me and 9 other people from around the globe who are ready to lead both their life and business, and stop looking for leaders and start becoming a leader. All right? Now, today, I was going to get right into content, but let me do a quick shout out for those of you who share every single week. Tremendous gratitude, big heart to you. Russ Litow, Star Media Designs, Mustafa Farag Saad. Good to see you back, Mustafa. Anthony Rogers, thank you, bro. Susan Norcat, Nora Jones, Paul Campbell, my friend from Hotlanta. Pranav Hanreo, Mandy Berlin. Hey, Mandy, haven't seen you for a while. Nancy Winters, David Curlew. There's a new name, I think, Bear. Isn't that a new name, David? They can't hear you when you're just smacking your lips. Anyway, Jay Lee, Tommy Allen Rain, Sandy Arango, Cottonwood Stone, Pauline Z. Lund. Pauline, I said your name, okay? So thank you so much for sharing. Please keep doing that. And by the way, you probably need no instructions, but that button is just right down here. Give me a big thumbs up. Give me a heart if this is valuable, and share it. Help me, help you, help those you love and care about. Now, let's get into today's content, where we're going to talk about reconditioning and reinventing yourself. And let me start off by telling you, and you might want to put this in your notes, hopefully you take notes every week, nothing fails today like the success of yesterday. Did you get that? The things that work to get you where you are today are not going to work to get you where you want to be and need to be and can be tomorrow. And I know that makes sense to you. And we've been investing several weeks. I mean, man, probably 2 months at least, Bear, right? 2 months at least in this whole series. And hopefully, if you're just joining, you can go back and catch up with this whole series on what some of the most luminary minds are telling us are necessary to adopt for your life, for your business, to even survive as we move forward in this Mach 10 market, much less thrive. And of course, what we want to do here is thrive. But over the last several weeks, we've talked about your powerful transforming purpose, what I call your PTP. We've talked about clarifying your vision and your values and what each one of those things specifically mean. And, you know, one of the things I find consistently, which the large companies I've worked with, which are many, as well as the successful entrepreneurs I've worked with, which are many, including startup businesses I've worked with, which are many, is that they don't lay the foundation before they begin the journey. Is that you? Because we're not encouraged to lay the foundation. But the foundation is going to determine how well the structure stands, if you follow the metaphor. And so we've invested time in your PTP, in your vision, in your values. Now let's bring all of that together and talk about how to reinvent yourself in this Mach 10 market in which we all live and operate today. Now, again, remember, we're exploring in this entire series, at least 2 months, if not a little bit longer, the 3 strategies that notables like Yuval Harari of Hebrew University, Peter Diamandis of Singularity University, and many, many more are telling us are an absolute must for you to even survive in this rapidly disruptive market, much less thrive. And so just a quick recap, strategy number 1, we did a whole lot of episodes on how to live longer and more vibrant and more vital. And strategy number 2 then is where we are now. Strategy number 2 is you've got to develop the ability to adapt, to reinvent continuously. You know, I got a message through my website earlier this week where a gentleman was saying, you know, I'm in my late 50s, James, and I'm having some challenges, and I'm just tired of reinventing. I don't want to reinvent anymore. I really want to have peace. And I get it. I get it. You see, reinvention is very difficult even in your 20s and 30s, much less, it seems almost next to impossible in your 50s, right? And so And so I responded back to him and I said, hey, I get it. I know the feeling. I've had to do this for myself. I stepped out for 6 years and came back to a world that didn't even exist whenever I stepped out. And that's a long time in this market. And so reinvention is difficult and it's absolutely necessary. And you will find peace when you accept the fact that you must continuously reinvent. When you come to peace with the fact that it's not going to ever get to some, perfect nirvana or some place of, ultimate calm and consistency. It's just not going to happen. And so when you come to peace with that, then you will truly have peace. And I hope that makes sense to you. Now, I've said this to you before, but as we talk about reinvention, your psychology, this is critical to know, your psychology always drives your strategy. And most people don't get this. I see so many people teaching tactics. And there's a time and a place for tactics. I had a marketing guy once telling me, James, you got to teach more tactics because people need tactics. And I'm like, look, I was a sales trainer at AT&T and I can give people the greatest and latest sales tactics in the world, and they're not going to use them until you change the cause. And the cause is the internal thought processes, the mindset, the paradigm, if you will. Your psychology always drives your strategy. How you think and feel always determines how you act. Does that make sense to you? And so at the end of this, I'm going to give you what I call my 6-step formula to success and fulfillment. So hang on, stay tuned. But for now, one of the biggest problems I observe in those that attempt to the very difficult task of reinvention is that they haven't started on the right foundation, there's that word again, before they execute their so-called reinvention. Let me give you an example. Many people are losing their jobs in today's world. And guess what? According to Forbes magazine, it's only going to accelerate. 50% of the salaried jobs, according to Forbes, in the next 10 years or less are going to be gone. So you have a 1 out of 2 chance, if you're on payroll, that your job is going to be gone in the near future. And unfortunately, most people don't do anything significant to change until they experience enough pain. They wait until they get dropped off payroll and then, oh my God, I got to do something different. Well, let that not be you. But a lot of people lose their job and then in a panic, they immediately start looking for a job in the very same market, in the very same industry, doing the very same thing. Now, this might seem logical to you, but I'm going to suggest to you it's the absolute antithesis of logic. It's the absolute opposite of logic. Because the most recent surveys tell us that about 3/4 of the population in this world are unhappy, miserable, and disengaged from their work. Excuse me. And so, what sense does it make to be miserable and be handcuffed to a paycheck, get dropped off a payroll, lose a job that you hate, and then turn around and look for another job that you're going to hate? It makes no sense at all. But you see, insecurity and lack of awareness and ignorance, quite frankly, drive very poor behavior. Now, let's go back to what I said. Your psychology always drives your strategy. Where does insecurity reside? Where does lack of awareness reside? Where does ignorance reside? And I think all 3 answers are inside. Your psychology, your mindset, your paradigm is always going to drive your behavior. And that's why I'm constantly encouraging you, not just me, Yuval Harari, Peter Diamandis, and many others are saying that the number one investment you can make is in your mindset, in your way of thinking, if you're going to adapt in today's world. Look, speaking of insecurity, please put this in your notes. Your security does not reside in your job, your paycheck, or your bank account. Your security resides in your power to produce. Are you with me on this? You want to be secure? Increase your power to produce. And you will have all the security, and it doesn't matter what happens in the external world, you'll have the power to produce and to bob and to weave and to readapt and to reinvent in this disruptive world. I hope you're thinking. I hope you're following me. Look, your security, your wealth, your business, your fulfillment, and the totality of all your results are a reflection of you. If you want your results to grow, you must grow. Let me repeat that because it's really important that we all get this. Your results right now, in every area, financially, relationally, mentally, physically, spiritually, are a reflection of you. If you want your results to grow and change, then you must grow and change. If you're going to adapt, to reinvent, and absolutely thrive in today's market, which you must, then you must begin from the right place with the right gifts. Now, this is critically important, and a lot of people don't want to hear me on this. Keep an open mind. You see, I call this concept beginning at the beginning. I also call it level one. Level one, starting point. Now, what is this? You've maybe heard me talk about it before. Beginning at the beginning is first and foremost doing an honest assessment of your life and recognizing, rethinking your unique gifts and genius. You have them. Your unique gifts and genius tell you where your creative source, universal intelligence, the 0-point field, the quantum hologram, God, has gifted you with something where you can become a literal genius. Now, this is not just my idea. I mean, Howard Gardner from Harvard University tells us that our traditional school systems are completely dysfunctional. That's probably not news, certainly not to me. It might be to you. But this guy's from Harvard. Howard Gardner and his mountains of research prove that you are a potential genius in at least one, if not two, areas. Now, the problem that we all confront, is that society and the media and your school system have failed you miserably. Because they never encouraged you to find your gifts and potential genius. Am I right? Think back to your formative years. Were you ever given any kind of test about where you were gifted and then encouraged to develop those gifts? You weren't. You were programmed into a materialistic, find a job, assimilate into the system mentality. Everyone was treated homogeneously, all the same, right? Read, remember, and repeat. And the individuals who didn't read, remember, and repeat very well, who didn't comply, who didn't assimilate, were labeled like ADHD or special or whatever because they didn't fit the mold. You've never been rewarded for being innovative and creative in your traditional system. And the media, since you were small, has pumped you with consumerism, buy, Black Friday, Cyber Monday, Cyber Week, Cyber Month, Cyber Year, whatever. Just keep buying shit and you'll be happy because shit makes you happy. No, shit is just shit. Okay? Shit doesn't do anything except shit all over you and shit up your bank account. That's not in my notes. That's just called a roll. But, you know, I remember several years ago, I was coaching a young lady named Janice. And Janice had been labeled ADHD. And remember, we're talking about reinvention here for you. And we're gonna, and this is gonna all make sense. Hopefully it already does, but I'm gonna pull it all together here. But Janice was labeled ADHD, which, by the way, is complete bullshit. There's no such thing as attention deficit. Everyone's paying attention to something, right? I mean, those who are labeled ADHD can sit can sit at a computer screen and save the universe for hours. They got the attention of a laser. So there's no such thing as an attention deficit. You know, we call people ADHD who aren't paying attention to what we want them to pay attention to, and they're probably not paying attention to it because you're so damn boring. And you're doing a shit job, and you're just wanting them to read, remember, repeat, and you're not paying attention to their genius and their uniqueness, and you're not treating them as an individual, you're treating them as a big blob of homogeneous, all the sames. Anyway, I'm on a roll again. Janice was labeled ADHD, and she was flunking out of school. But you know what? If there was ever a horse whisperer, it was her. I went once and watched her train these horses for steeplechase. And man, she could communicate with a horse. It was unbelievable how much she could connect and communicate with this big, strong animal. That was a gift. But you know what? They don't test and measure horse whispering in school. So Janice had this scarlet letter her entire life until I helped her peel it off and realize, hey, don't buy in. Don't buy in. Take your power back. And so here's my point. You got to find your gifts and genius. Now, there's another school of thought that says hard work trumps natural gifts. And this is true, but it's only partially true. Okay? And this is really nuanced here. So please pay attention, because there's a lot of studies out there that say hard work trumps natural gifts. And that's true, and it's only partially true. So let me attempt to ferret this out and nuance this out for you. You know, there's a guy from Stanford named Lewis Terman, and Lewis did over 20 years of research on people with incredible intellectual prowess. I mean, they were, on the SAT scores, they were measured as genius, which, by the way, great SAT scores only tell you that you're good at taking tests. And then there's another topic, I'll reel it back and just throw that out there. But, Lewis took all these people who were measured genius, which I think is 140 and above, if I remember correctly, and he tracked them for over 20 years. And what he found is that these people with the most high-level intellect, good at taking tests, did very little to accomplish anything, little to nothing in the world, because they didn't do anything with it. And then the people who had a lower intelligence score actually outperformed these high intellect individuals. And he was very disappointed because he was really into intellect. But nonetheless, what came away from that is that work ethic and hard work trumps gifts and intellect. And that's partially true. Partially true. Then there's Anders Ericsson, who is from Florida, and he's a professor of psychology, and he's the man on the 10,000 hour theory, which you've probably heard of. And so he states that you can become a genius, become a master, become great if you invest 10,000 hours in deliberate practice of your craft. And that is true as well. So here's what's left out, is that many believe that it's work ethic alone that trumps unique gifts. And if you know me, you know I'm big on work ethic. I'm big on going hard and going long, right? We've talked about this a lot. But there's something else to this as well that needs to be ferreted out. And the fact is, you can work. I'll just give you an example. I could work hard at attempting to slam dunk a basketball for the rest of my days. Not only 10,000 hours, I could work 100,000 hours, and I'm not ever going to slam dunk a basketball. Not in this lifetime, not in this body. Just ain't going to happen. All right? I could work for 100,000 hours to try to build a physique like Arnold Schwarzenegger back in the day, which, by the way, I did, and I never looked like Arnold Schwarzenegger, not in this lifetime, not in this body, because I didn't have the genetics and the gifts. Are you with me on this? Now, follow me through. You need to have a certain level of gift and a certain level of ability if you're going to achieve mastery and greatness. You still have to have the work ethic. It doesn't just happen easily. I mean, it's well known that, Michael Jordan failed to make the varsity team in his 10th grade year. Albert Einstein flunked his entrance exam to Zurich Polytechnic the first time he took it. Thomas Edison, quote, failed to create the light bulb in 1,000 attempts. And so it takes hard work. It takes resilience. It takes resourcefulness. It takes grit. And it all takes the gifts too, because I don't think any of us would disagree that Michael Jordan didn't have some gifts in basketball. I don't think any of us would disagree that Thomas Edison didn't have some inventive and innovative thinking. I don't think any of us would disagree that any of these people who achieved Albert Einstein didn't have any math skills. Of course he did. They had the initial gifts and they developed them to mastery and genius. Does that make sense to you? So you may be able to develop the ability to do anything, but you can in no way become masterful unless you begin at the beginning. And I hope you follow me here on this. Unless you begin at the beginning, which means you go back and you realize the gifts you've been given by your creative source that you can become a potential genius in, given the 10,000 hours, given the work ethic, given the grit, given the resilience, given the resourcefulness, given the time. You know, John Coltrane, arguably the greatest saxophone player of all time, practiced for 12 hours a day. 12 hours a day. I mean, in many cases, it was stated that he practiced 10 hours perfecting one note. That's what I call a magnificent obsession. You see, Jordan, Coltrane, Edison, Einstein, any of those had they first had the ability, they had a gift, and then they put in the time and the energy and effort. Does that make sense to you? So as you go into reinvention, if you want to become masterful and great, you have to begin at the beginning. You must find your unique gifts that you've been given by your creative source. You need to embrace those. Society may not value them. Society may not think it's sexy. Society may not tell you, oh, you can make millions of dollars with that. But that's not what life is all about. And, by the way, you have a greater probability of achieving income, high income, and achieving high accolades and achieving the highest levels of performance when you begin at the beginning, when you start with your gifts. You see, I find too many people are wasting their precious time in today's world chasing baubles and beads, chasing things that society tells them they should chase, chasing things that they think are sexy or exciting, and they have no chance whatsoever, no opportunity whatsoever to become great at it. To me, that's a wasted life. Because whether you're consciously aware of it or not, you are born to be great at your unique, authentic self. And if you don't have a chance of being masterful at something, my recommendation, please, don't waste your time and your precious life trying to do it. Because mastery is the name of the game. Mastery is where the most meaning and fulfillment come. Mastery is when you do for the sake of doing. Mastery is where you enjoy the process. Mastery is you just do it because you love to do it. You know, Danny Way, who jumped the Great Wall of China on a skateboard, wow, said, I don't skate to win trophies. I skate to skate. And if you talk to anyone who's masterful at what they do, like Danny Way is, then you'll find the same is true. They don't do it for the money. They don't do it for the accolades. They don't do it to be popular. They don't do it to be sexy or to be famous. They just do it because that's what they're here to do. Now, if you want to be just good enough, I can't speak to that. I can't really help you with that. For that concept has never, ever entered my world model. It just hasn't. But if you want to be a true leader, if you want to be the Coltrane, the Jordan, the Federer, the Katy Perry, the Lady Gaga, the Einstein, the Edison of your craft, then we should work and play together. We really should. For that means that you want to find and follow and master your calling. Not a career, but your calling. And I can help you because I've invested the better part of 3 decades now in doing this for myself, as well as studying those and coaching those who want to do it as well. And that's why you're here. You know, and maybe if you're in a job that you're miserable at, 3/4 of the population, almost 75% of the people are, maybe if you've lost your job, or maybe if you're soon to lose your job, or maybe if you're in a business trying to build a business that isn't working and it's absolutely miserable because it's not what you're supposed to be doing. Maybe the universe, maybe God, maybe life itself is giving you a gift to stop now. Step back, reassess, and begin at the beginning. I mean, that's the major work I do with my coaching clients. That's the major work I do in the 5-day Leadership for the Future Mastermind, because that's where fulfillment and heart and soul and spirit reside. And that's why you're here. That's why you're here. You know, in the words of Albert Einstein, everybody is a genius. But if you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, it will live its entire life thinking it's stupid. You were born to be great. And according to research from Harvard and elsewhere, you have the ability to be a genius. And you've got to get on the right path. And when would now be the time to do that? When would now be the time to break the chains of the socialized programming that has taught you to assimilate and to fit the mold and to follow the money and to follow the market, and step back and say, hey, I'm going to live my own life, damn it. Takes a lot of courage. But I'll tell you something. For me, and for those that I work with, the fear of not living your authentic self is much greater than ending up with regret. In other words, I would rather face the fear and have the courage to follow my authentic self than to have the fear of coming to the end of life with tremendous regret and looking back like most people do and saying, hey, is that all it is? Is that all it was? Why was I here? All right. This is how you set yourself up for true success and fulfillment versus the false sense of security of a job. Because remember, your security resides in your power to produce. So I told you I was going to give you the success and fulfillment formula. Here it is. Please write it down. Number one, begin at the beginning. No surprise, right? Know your unique gifts. Number two, commit to giving your entire life every ounce of energy and effort that you have to mastering your gift. Number three, clearly define your PTP. Remember what that is? Your powerful transforming purpose. Why are you here? If you need more details on that, go back and see past episodes. Number four, clearly define your vision. Remember, your vision tells you what you're going to do in the world that aligns with your PTP. Number five, clearly define your values. You might remember, your values tell you who you are going to be and how you're going to show up in the process of accomplishing your vision and living your purpose. And then number six, get busy. Get busy with the work. Get busy because there's plenty of work to be done. It's time. It's time. It's time. And you either take life by the reins or life is going to roll over you. Because we are moving. You feel it? You notice it? Things are in massive transition and it's not going to slow down. It's only going to speed up. So look, if you're ready to do these things, then as I told you, I invented Leadership Thursday today. And just for you, your family, your business, your future, 80% off while seats are still available. Just click the link, have a conversation with me. It's not guaranteed that you'll get into the event because it's by conversation interview only. And yes, you will talk directly to me because I'm not delegating this to any of my customer service team or any of my team. It's just that important to me that the right people are in the room. You know, the link is right above my head. It'll take you right to a page where it'll show you all the dates for 2018. And it will show you a little bit about what the event entails, a little bit, because there's no way we can put it all on a landing page. And then you can go right to my calendar and schedule a call with me for Leadership for the Future Mastermind Experience. I hope I've given you some things to think about here today. Thanks so much for joining me. And more importantly than thinking about it, I hope I've given you some things to act upon. Until we speak again, as always, be a leader, live your purpose, and take your power back.